Hello, Sag. Welcome to Catalyst Energies and welcome to your astrology forecast for the full moon in Cancer. We have a full moon in Cancer on the 17th of January, 2022 at 27 to 28 degrees Cancer. Okay, Sag, this is a big one for us. You know, I have a strong Sag stellium. I have a sun in Sag, so I am going to be talking in the first person for this report. So welcome back, everyone. If you're new to this channel, welcome, and a special welcome and thank you to my patrons on Subscribestar. I do appreciate not only you investing in me and the creation of this content, but making the investment in your own journey as well. I really actually appreciate that the most because we need that. We need that on some level from everybody in some way right now. So this report is for Sag rising, Sag moon, Sag sun. Your progressed ascendant is in Sagittarius. We're looking at the specific areas that the full moon and the major transits leading up to that full moon are going to impact for all of the signs. So there is a general astrology report that is already up on BitChute. You just scroll down. It will be linked at the end of this video that if you haven't watched it already, it covers the 9th through the 17th, right? The first quarter square up to the full moon. So the moon was in Aries and we'll move into Cancer for the full moon. So Sag, out of all of the signs, even the cardinal signs, which I think are going to feel and be impacted very strongly by this full moon. Sagittarius people, we seem actually to be providing a microcosm experience for what is likely to happen at a macro level. Of course, this full moon is at 28 degrees of Capricorn and Cancer. So these are galactic degrees. These are galactic Pleiadian degrees. This is the point of the natal Pluto of the United States. So we have the Pluto return of the United States that's starting to come online like very strongly with the sun at this full moon. So it's a whopper for everyone. And for the Sagittarian person, it is as we look at here, it is along the axis of resources. So second house is the resources that you have, the material world that you are part of and embedded in, your assets, your house, your job, the land you live on, the resources that you that are not like in your bank account, right? Your assets, your genetic resources, right? Your actual genetics, and your DNA is a second house thing and what it actually gives you. Energetic resources and traditions, ancestral traditions that you come from, genetic memory, all of these things. Eighth house, this is your investments. This is the production of resources as a result of relationship. And so you come into a binding agreement, a contract, a relationship, any type of relationship that is something you commit to is the seventh house. And then the eighth house is what you produce. And it's intimacy and trust in like a romantic or a marriage. Sexual power is created in a sexual relationship, in a business contract or relationship. These are your profits and what you get out of it. Your investments, right? You take your assets and invest them, and this is your return. This is also the shadow. This is also depth psychology. This is also the dark night of the soul. This is the abyss in the eighth house because it's in what we produce in the relationships that we get to the bottom of things. We really feel what the power is of us coming together. And so it's cooperation and communion and incredible meaning that builds societies. And you still have the same dynamics in play, but you may find that there is something very disproportionate in this realm. And this is where we see our shadow, right? It's inevitable. So, and this is the realm of death and rebirth, right? Because Scorpio and the eighth house is where we submit our own ego and in the interest of producing something that is more than that, right? More than the sum. A sum is more than the individual parts coming together. So or the product is more than the sum of the original components, I guess I would say. So resources for Sag, and we see that the United States, like I said, is a Sag ascendant too. So this eclipse season also was a big part of this time frame for Sag people, and also the United States, right? The eclipse season is going to stretch out until the end of into the spring. And so there are a lot of cycles that are unfolding for the Sag person that are also, like I said, a microcosm of much larger cycles that are about to unfold. So Sag, here's the thing. If you have been paying attention and you've setting intentions and letting certain things burn away that are ready to go, and Venus has been allowing you to be very sensitive to the meaning and the value of what you do have, and and the worth of that. When you get to this cathartic moment of Pluto and the Sun, it will be a release that you've been waiting for. It'll be a good catharsis. It'll still be very powerful, and the potential for some real power struggles is very strong here. But what it's going to show the Sag person at the full moon is how what you've produced in your relationships, how strong that is. If that investment is actually able to hold you emotionally and is deep enough and is stable enough at its core that you're returning back to the source almost of nature herself. Is that going to hold your emotional vulnerability in the face of this incredibly powerful, transformative, cathartic moment? Okay, we're all going to go there, but this is in the path of resources for the Sag. And so you may have already known that you're going to leave a job, that you're going to sell a house, right? That you're going to, sell off a bunch of your assets in some way. And you're going to have to take a leap in some way and feel, and you're only going to see it in your feeling or feel it in your intuition or your sensitivity. If those investments are actually strong enough to hold in the power, in the face of the power of Pluto, right? And since it's the 8th house, I mean, that's kind of, having Pluto involved in this is way strong, because that is the normal ruler of the 8th house is Pluto. So there's incredible power in these investments, whatever they are, but they're also something that you can only feel and is less palpable than what is defined as your material reality. So very interesting, Sag. What we also see at this time is that Lilith is in your 7th house. This is really the last little bit of Gemini here, because the North Node will be moving into Taurus. And of course, the South Node has been in Sag for the last year and a half. And so Sag people have really been working with the momentum and power of alchemical transmutation and their own role as an agent of this, or a guide for this, or just understanding things from a larger perspective, but also realizing that that's not the direction that we're all being pulled in order to learn at a soul level. It's been Gemini, right? New ideas and pioneering concepts, and not really settling on any particular meaning, but just being able to commit to the process of the dialectic and where it takes us. That has been, and knowing what that looks like, right? I feel like the North Node during this time has been very instrumental in having us evolve as a result of understanding what duality really means. So there's a little bit left, right? As we say goodbye to this time in Gemini at a soul level, there's a primal feeling with Black Moon Lilith that will show herself. She demands to be heard and seen, because she is in fact the original blueprint of the feminine, the original blueprint of the mother, the original blueprint of Kali, right? The whole divine sacred feminine aspect is embodied in the Black Moon Lilith. It's deeper than us. It's something that we connect to. It will be heard. She will be heard, and she's going to square Neptune in your 4th house, which is, this square is significant for everybody, but for the Sag person, your ruler, the planet that takes point on you as a Sag person is Jupiter, and is also in your 4th house. This is the Cancer house traditionally. The moon in Cancer is traditionally at home in the 4th house. And so there's something very powerful about your emotional stability, your personal life, your inner life, your spiritual connection with Pisces in the fourth house, and the broad way that you have allowed yourself to spread your own root system into something that is not as something that is more mystical, more transcendental, more spiritual, right? In terms of home and family and inner life, right? It has been progressively getting more spiritual, progressively more compassionate and unconditional love, progressively more spread out beyond just what you may have grown up knowing. And now that your ruler is here, Jupiter, who's also at home in Pisces, coming in to just manage this space, when before it was just very, unimpeded and very vast and dissolving in a lot of ways because it's Neptune. Jupiter's like, yeah, I love to be in infinite space, to expand infinitely in understanding and wisdom, but I also am here to give this space some meaning now, which I think is really going to help clean up some messes that may be here, and certainly just give the Sag person a bit more confidence and a sense of wisdom and understanding in this realm, because it's really in that security, emotional security, and the consolidated power of our investments, emotional investments, that we're going to see like what is going to hold us in the face of, this very purifying and cathartic experience that's meant to be throughout the entire lunar cycle, but is going to culminate at this full moon. So Lilith demands to be heard. It will be in a square to Neptune. It'll be very tumultuous, some sort of really resounding need to balance something out in this way. So don't suppress, right? Don't suppress, but also too, you don't necessarily want to lose sight of all the expansive work that you've done to anchor yourself into something that is timeless and infinite and ultimately unconditional love and compassion. So, because this is the angry activist, right? And this has got protest, tumultuous demonstration, all of that type of energy all over it. So you don't, but at the same time, you don't want to, like I said, you don't want to suppress it by being like, no, it's all, trying to keep the peace in your home, right? So it's a very tenuous moment here. What you do see is that Mercury is in a sextile to Chiron, and Chiron has been the area we've all been triggered into shame and guilt about who we are, wounded healer, victim savior narratives, that kind of stuff. What is it about who we think we are that's actually been imposed upon us and keeps triggering us instead of the pure subjective seed point of who we are? And for the Sag person, that's really been coming out in the area of their creative expression and finding their voice, right? Just having joy and optimism and passion and dating and romance. That's all fifth house. And there's been some guilt around just finding yourself in that way. And Mercury here in your third house, it's direct right now, but by the time we get to the full moon, it'll be retrograde. So in the span of a week, Mercury will have made this sextile to Chiron twice. And it's about putting the vision into action, or acting out the vision of our highest spiritual ideals. And so Mercury in the third house, I feel like there's just so many good lucid potential here in terms of downloads and communication and conceptual processing, right? It's just it's like an intense laser beam that's like going right into the mind of Sag, and has the potential to really be invested into this fifth house. And just, it's like a crystal, and this incredible energy can be it's like the third eye literally has like this crystal in it, or there is an energy coming into the mind that is beaming right into this crystal that is going to have you shine so, so bright. But you have to also be able to let go of the, anything that's blocking it, or anything that is superimposed that's like, distorting that at any point, right? It's just like if there's a smudge on like the optics of like for a laser, for instance, that's what I'm getting, like laser beam into the mind with Mercury in the third house in Aquarius. And if there is any smudge on the lens, it is going to, it's not going to do what it needs to do. I think this can help take the smudge off this lens, Sag. And so you can get to the business of, the spark of your divinity being the beginning of your sun shining, right? That is, again, romance, dating, taking risks, like calculated risks. And you do have Saturn here, which is like, the law of nature can't be the law of nature, and certainly the cohesiveness of the collective consciousness is so powerful that there's nothing that's going to knock it over, right? That's just all there is to it. So I think that there's been a lot of mental stability for Sag, potentially, and now Mercury is about to like harness that. Like I said, your third eye is just like opening, and then if there is a smudge on your heart at all, because that's the fifth house, right? Fifth house is your heart chakra in some ways, or it's at least the intensity of the heart shining and the blood pumping. You want to make sure that there's no smudge, that it's not, you're not getting pulled off track here. And I think this is, man, that is powerful. That is so powerful. We talked about Jupiter coming into your fourth house. So let's, and just like the intensity of this, I mean, Sag, again, we're all going to go through something incredible. And it's going to be Sag that can be a guiding presence, because it's the process is hitting very close to home. Let's just put it that way. And the good news is we have Jupiter in the fourth house that is, like I said, like a family chief, just coming into that area and being like, okay, I'm going to manage all of this now, because I'm really comfortable with large open spaces and very large empires. And that's what Neptune's been doing, just creating tributaries and just going, looking for deeper places to connect to and just spreading out. So that's really... again, it's really, really powerful. So what we do see, again, with Neptune is Mars is in the first house. This is our last push here with Mars in the first house and in Sagittarius. Is just like any impetus to act on real meaning of our togetherness, or to be the spark that... pushes something forward, especially for Sag, like in their own identity and persona. It's going to have some sort of resistance, again, with the really diffused and incredibly broad spectrum experience of Neptune in the fourth house, right? Just, even though there's meaning here, it's not that it goes out the window, but when you return back to the experience of being one with everything else, there's no action here. There's surrender here. And Mars isn't going to surrender. And Mars in the first house certainly isn't going to surrender. It's going to keep pushing. If I act like the person I know that I am, I will be the person that I know that I am. And Mars in the fourth house is just like I said, it's this broad spectrum experience. But at least Jupiter's here to manage it. It's not going to necessarily shoot out the gate like Mars would, but it's going to manage the experience so that you at least find your center in a space that is very, it's like the ocean, right? You're going to have to go on feeling and trust and surrender in terms of your emotional security. And at least you got some confidence and some sense of leadership and advocacy here now. So when we talk... So we see that square, we see that it sextiles the sun, and this is happening today and yesterday, right, 10th and 11th. We see also that it's in a sextile to the sun. So it's not so much that the entire realm of where your resources are situated is needs to be destroyed. There is a moment here where at least there is a sense of power that you derive out of working together with a group and having a reason to do it, right? And that's something that we can derive a sense of power from, and empowerment, right? It's not necessarily the whole structure that you want to get rid of. You don't want to completely get rid of every aspect of your material life. There's something to be said here for working together in a group. And I think, again, the sextile to Neptune, this is very Lyran. This two, Neptune and the sun in this sextile. And so if we trust what we've surrendered to in this experience of the home and the family, or the inner life, and where we truly find the core of who we are, it actually will give us some insight, I think, into how we do want to work together with people, and where the meaning of that actually lies. That's a very powerful sextile. So, and the last thing I want to bring up for Sag is, again, Lilith, because if we go back a day, you'll see that Lilith is in a trine with Saturn. And the reason this particular degree is so important is because this was opposite the solar eclipse at 12 to 13 degrees Gemini, and it's in a trine to Saturn. So again, there is something very primal that needs to be released in terms of the binding agreements and the contractual obligations and our relationships, interpersonal relationships, that needs to come out and will come out, that is so deep and primal. And it's the mind and the backbone, or the scaffolding, that Saturn provides in the mental realm that's going to allow this to happen without disturbing the peace here, right? I think this trine is in fact going to allow the stability in the mind for this to come out in a way that doesn't totally destroy us in the process. So again, this was opposite the eclipse. So know that there are incredible, there's another cycle coming back around to be released, and there's a lot of support. And for Sag people, considering that your identity is based in the understanding that comes from the realm of the mind and Gemini, there's a connection here with just the mental stability of Sagittarius, providing for a space in which the dregs, right, need to come out and be cleared away about this Gemini aspect too. And so your own mind has the stability of Saturn right now to allow for this to seamlessly come forward and not destroy us. So Sag, wow, incredible things to expect, I think, for this full moon. So if you're interested in a reading or energy work to support your process, you can follow any of the links in the description box below to get to the website, email, active on Telegram. That's a pretty cool space. And these videos are on BitChute and YouTube currently, and there will be more stuff coming. But you also can stick around at the end of this video to get more information on how to subscribe to support this work, and also just more information in general. You can get on my mailing list through my website, and there's a cool music track to listen to in the meantime. Plus, you can link to the general astrology video at the end of this video as well. So Sag, thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate each and every one of you so much. And the next time we will come together for the next forecast will be for the Aquarian new moon that's going to be in February. So in the meantime, enjoy yourself. Have a blessed day. Take care of yourself. Take care of other people. I love you, and I will see you next time. Bye, Sagittarius.